guys think the absolute worst parent in South Park is? Well, if it's not Leanne for raising Carton, then Randy Marsh definitely deserves the title. Remember when Randy was selected to appear on Wheel of Fortune? He must have been so excited to win money to waste on weed, and his friends and family were rooting for him all the way until he gave the most incorrect answer in game show history.
The category is people who annoy you. Audience, keep quiet, please. 10 seconds, Mr. Marsh.
Well, I know it, but I don't think I should say it. Huh?
Oh. As if he literally said the answer with a big smile on his face. Like he genuinely thought a racial slur was going to be the actual answer. He wasn't the only one in the studio who thought that, though. The cameraman looked mad as hell. Uttering an extremely offensive slur like the N-word in front of a live audience and millions of home viewers will not only make it near impossible for Randy to ever get hired by anyone ever again, he could actually be sent to prison for violating obscenity laws. These can prohibit the use of deeply offensive language in public and are unprotected by the First Amendment's freedom of speech and expression protections. So, in other words, Randy has no defense, and that very racist mishap is going to make his Wheel of Fortune land on 120 days in jail and a $750 fine. I'm sure the shame and humiliation Sharon feels will last a lifetime, though. Disorderly conduct can mean many things, but a big one is engaging in a fight, and boy does Randy start a lot of them, especially when he comes to watch Stan at his Little League baseball games. Stan is about to pitch the ball, and his dad is cheering him on all the way by drinking too much beer and fighting with other trash-talking dads like himself.
Randy, don't!
You better shut up, asshole!
I'm standing right here. How do you want to handle it?
I told you to shut up!
Not again.
Strike 3, you're out!
South Park wins, and that means more baseball games for Stan and more wrestling matches for Randy.
God damn it.
Strike 3!
How the hell is that a strike?
This country or something? No, this is America!
South Park even plays a game in Mexico, and Randy brings a frackin' Spanish dictionary just so we can start fights with the other dads there.
Oh, bueno. Pueblo es muy malo. America! This is the house of America!
Randy's fight with Bad Dad got South Park disqualified from their final game against Denver. The kids were happy because they hated playing baseball, but Randy won't be so thrilled about spending 30 months in jail and paying $2,500 in fines for 5 counts of disorderly conduct. I was totally expecting him to be spending 2.5 years in a coma after that fight with Bad Dad, though. There are so many messed up people in South Park, but who are the town's biggest perverts since Nambla? Well, it might be Randy Marsh, and surprisingly not for chugging down a bottle of Butters' bodily fluids at a Sarcastaball game.
You need some of this.
This is
Oh no, he did something way worse, if that's even possible. He literally did a cock magic show in front of children.
Cock magic be done by the professionals. Sir?
I wish I could say that was the last time Randy exposed himself to everyone, but in the episode of Medicinal Fried Chicken, he wanted to buy medicinal marijuana so bad that he deliberately gave himself testicular cancer and had to get around town using his overly swollen balls as a space hopper. What am I even reading? And let's not forget that one time he started his own OnlyFans.
Oh, okay, yeah. That one's kind of fizzy. Kind of fizzy. Yeah, this is really nice.
He was so determined to get more subscribers than Sharon that he tried to sell himself half naked at an influencer auction. Thankfully, the FBI arrested him before everyone died from secondhand embarrassment.
Up here! Are you Randy Marsh?
Yeah?
All right, we got him. Hands behind your back.
Randy got scolded for posting his adult content on TikTok for minors and minors to see, but he wouldn't be arrested in real life, just banned from social media. The influencer auction, cock magic, and space hopper situations were crimes, though. 3 counts of indecent exposure would earn this perv 3 years in jail and $3,000 in fines. Winnie the Pooh is just a harmless little fat bear. You'd really have to be a special kind of fricker to hurt this cuddly, honey-loving bear, and you can count on Randy to ruin every single one of our childhoods in 3, 2, 1.
I will share. In just a few more slurps.
Piglet was too small to defend his friend, but I know Tigger would have totally kicked this jerk's butt in the next week. What was the psycho's reason for slaughtering poor Pooh anyway? To get a frickin' drug deal with the Chinese. Animal cruelty carries a 5-year sentence, so Yogi Bear and Ted are safe for at least a little while. Randy's also got a $1,000 fine to pay. Pooh is worth at least $1 million though. Randy has his kids living on a literal weed farm, so he clearly doesn't give a crap about protecting their health. But what about protecting them from dying in a fatal car crash? Screw that. The guy values drinking over safety any day of the week, so naturally this happened when he came to pick up the kids from their martial arts class.
Dad, aren't you supposed to, not drink and drive?
I'm not drinking and driving. Oh, I gotta pee. Hand me that empty bottle, Stan.
What? Just pull over.
Stan, you need to learn some things about being a man. Give me that bottle.
Not him literally drinking and driving. Randy was arrested by cops after swaying around the road trying to pee in a bottle and forced to attend AA meetings, much to Stan's embarrassment. In real life, a DUI would earn the drunk dad 1 year in jail and accompany that with child endangerment of his young passengers, and he's looking at 13 years in the slammer, as well as $751,000 in fines. No parent wants their kid to get involved with drugs. A little drugs or bad talk should have been more than enough after Stan touched a discarded weed cigarette, but Randy went as far as to hire a lookalike to pretend he's Stan from the future.
I have no idea, man. I was just about to go to sleep in an alley behind the crack house and this electrical storm started. Next thing I knew, I was running around in my own path, but then I came down and I was still here.
Oh, dude, I should have never touched that marijuana.
Seeing his future self become a major loser makes Stan vow to never touch drugs again, but when he finds out the whole thing was just an elaborate hoax, he tries to get his parents to admit that they lied by cutting off a fake hand. If Stan cuts off his hand, the fake future Stan's hand should remain unharmed, but that ain't gonna happen because Randy is seriously unable to admit that the jig is up.
Why, his hand did disappear. He is you from the future.
Dismembering future Stan's hand falls under the crime of mayhem and warrants a 20-year prison sentence. Randy could have really benefited from a fake future self when he was a kid. He may have turned into a normal law-abiding citizen who doesn't go around chopping off other people's limbs. If you thought Butters' parents were strict, just wait till you find out what Randy did to Shelly. The pandemic's finally over after 40 frickin' years, and now all the kids have grown up. Stan returns to South Park after Kenny, a renowned scientist, dies. He reunites with Kyle and Tolkien, who think Dr. Kenny may have been murdered for uncovering a secret about the pandemic. Stan and Kyle attend the wake and reunite with more old friends. Jimmy is now a famous stand-up comedian. Tweak suffers from anxiety. Clyde is just your average Joe. And ladies and gentlemen, the man you've all been waiting for, here he is, Eric Hartman.
But he's changed.
Changed how? Yes, I know. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. Head of Gaspetsa Synagogue down in Colorado Springs. Can you believe it? I'm a rabbi. Pandemic happened. I think it changed me.
At least he's still wearing his hat after all this time. At the funeral, it's revealed that Kenny died from a new COVID variant, meaning the pandemic is back for South Park and the whole town must be quarantined as one selfish person. Clyde did not get the vaccine. As Stan has no family left in South Park, he camps out in his old elementary school. So what happened to his family? Well, Randy's in a retirement home. Shelly burned to death after her dad locked her in the barn as punishment for not doing her weed chores. And Sharon?
Yes, she had a marijuana problem. And so, his mother couldn't take the loss of Shelly, and so she killed herself.
The most depressing show and tell ever. Randy and Stan leave the retirement home and return to the burned remains of Tegrity Farms. Being back is emotional for Randy, and he decides now is the right time to confess the disgusting secret he's kept hidden for decades.
A man in China had with a pangolin, and that started COVID. That man was me.
Stan then leaves to retrieve a memory stick containing hidden information up Kenny's butt, and Randy is visited by the ghosts of his wife and daughter. They tell him to not give up, and seconds after they fade away, a miracle appears.
It can't be. It's the last little sprout of Tegrity.
Manslaughter carries a penalty of 10 years, so Randy's got a decade to spend in the clink for causing his own daughter to burn to death. Sure, it was Stan who actually started the fire, but Shelly couldn't escape because Randy had locked her in the barn. What a failure of a parent. So that'll be 10 years in prison and a $500,000 fine, but let's double that because Randy once very idiotically drove onto a sports field and killed a kid.
Good job, kid.
Stan! Stan!
Whether you love or hate Walmart, Randy Marsh somehow became the Superstore's #1 fan and hater at the same time. The first South Park branch of Walmart is open, and Randy can't wait to waste his money on junk he don't need, like enough ramen to last 1,000 winters.
Just look at the Marsh family, huh? Brand new television and enough bulk buy ramen to last us 1,000 winters.
Guess somebody didn't save up for their retirement. That night, Randy tosses and turns into sleep thinking about all the incredible bargains waiting for him at the Walmart across the street. The excitement is just too much to bear, and the shopaholic dashes to the store in his PJs so he can be the first to get his paws on more cheap junk, but almost everyone else in town had the same exact idea. Randy spends all night shopping at Walmart and fills the house with mountains of useless products. Realizing he's become addicted to the superstore, he refuses Kyle's idea to have some self-control and instead burns the place to the ground.
I want it to go away. All it takes is a little self-control and personal responsibility.
The Walmart gets rebuilt by the next morning, and people are flocking to the store once again. Randy has even given up on his geologist job so he can work there and get a 10% staff discount that doesn't even work on every product there. Stan and Kyle defeat Walmart by killing its heart, and the superstore implodes into oblivion. Business is now booming for gyms, drugs, and the little store becomes so popular it eventually turns into its own superstore, and history repeats itself once again. For 2 counts of arson, Randy would be caged for 24 years and fined $6,000. Very lenient considering massive stores like that take tens of millions of dollars to build. Randy might lead a double life as the singer Lord, but Lana Del Rey's video game sounds more like it was written for him. World of Warcraft is currently the most popular video game in South Park, and Randy Marsh, a grown man with kids and a job to go to, is obsessed with it. So obsessed that when Stan's character gets in trouble, he doesn't hesitate to hijack some dude's car to get to a computer and hand Stan the sword he needs to defeat another player.
Hey! Help! Stop! Please, it's an emergency! Come on! No, I need to play World of Warcraft! Nelson!
There's no time to make it to Nelson's, so he runs into the nearest Best Buy and logs in after assaulting a child.
That up right over by the...
All right, I'm in!
Dude, I'm almost dead.
Stealing a car is hardly petty theft. That means Randy's going to be sentenced to a harsh 12 years in the big house for vehicle theft and 32 years for assault. Also, add the hottest of $1.5 million of fines. He'll have to sell Integrity Farms to pay that one off. Well, that's half of this devilish dad's crimes down, and his prison sentence is already 132 years long. His fines also come in at a massive $3,264,250 smackaroos. Randy's clearly a disgrace to his family, but these next crimes are gonna make him hated worldwide. What did you get up to during the pandemic? Probably nothing that much, unless you're Randy Marsh, in which case you got up to the most wildest stuff imaginable. Randy advertises his pandemic special to the town, a new hybrid of Integrity Farms' weed sold at 10% off the usual price. It's a smash hit, and he's rubbing his success in Sharon's face when the news informs everyone that authorities have traced the origin of the virus to a bat in Wuhan. They are stumped as to how the disease could have been transmitted to our species, and their statement triggers a very freaky flashback of Randy's trip to China.
Randy, you gotta try. Go ahead, take a turn.
Soon we can get back to everything. I mean, doesn't this mean things are finally going back to normal? Dad?
Instead of feeling guilty for his zoophilia causing a global pandemic, Randy only worries that Sharon will be a total if she finds out. But false alarm, researchers have discovered that a pangolin is actually responsible for the virus. Oh shoot.
Do you know what a pangolin is, Randy?
Do you know what a penguin is, Dad?
Dude, I still can't believe it that bad. I'm just impressed, that's all. I mean, if you can handle a bat, then...
Then what?
Where's your mouth?
To stop his dirty secret from getting exposed to the world, Randy trespasses into the research center pretending he's a pandemic specialist, and when nobody's looking, he steals the pangolin. Researchers assume that the animal just escaped on its own, which sucks since it was their only hope of getting the COVID vaccine. Randy is relieved to have gotten away with everything, but it's not over yet. Mickey Mouse knows exactly what he did.
Ah! Why did you send that to me?
Because you're a dead man, Marsh.
Mickey vows to have Randy secretly killed and his DNA sent to the scientists so they can create the vaccine and he can reopen Disneyland. The only 2 options Mr. Marsh has now is to turn himself in or make the vaccine himself. He, of course, would never own up to what he did and makes a DIY antidote using Integrity weed and his seed. Yes, that seed.
Shh, this is gonna be great. It's okay, just breathe.
He didn't even bother to close the door. Randy jerks off into hundreds of jars of weed and sells them before discovering that his vaccine comes with a serious life-threatening side effect.
Holy
The mustache outbreak gets brushed off as another COVID variant, and Fauci urges everyone to continue wearing masks to stop the hair becoming fashionable. Randy goes to dump all the evidence in the lake, but after finding out that Applebee's closed because of him, he gives back the pangolin. The scientists can now make the vaccine, but not that the president has anything to do with it.
We've learned that we might never get back to our old lives, but by working together. Don't forget to get out and vote, everybody.
2 counts of zoophilia will earn the seriously messed up dude 40 years in prison. Then we have an extra 3 years for trespassing, 5 years for obstruction of justice, 5 years for fraud, and 5 years for poisoning. Altogether, that's 58 years and a $300,000 fine. Randy was once a geologist, and I guess studying rocks must have been so boring for him because he later became a drug dealer in the show. The salary potential is definitely way higher. Growing weed on Integrity Farms has been going great so far, but Randy's always looking for new ways to make more money, and it looks like he's found one at last.
We could grow the family business by selling Tegrity to the Chinese. I did a little research. Turns out there's a lot of people in China. We'd make millions of dollars. I'm flying to China tomorrow.
Please tell me Shelly's at least getting paid to be used as a walking billboard for her dad's drugs. Randy flies to China the next day to execute his genius idea, but after airport security finds his frackin' suitcase full of weed, he gets imprisoned at a brutal Chinese jail where he's subjected to forced labor and tortured severely.
Member of the Communist Party. The party is more important than the individual.
He eventually gets freed by making a drug deal with the Chinese government and returns home to Integrity Farms with a truck full of cash, so I guess his idea wasn't so dumb after all. But come winter, there's no weed left for Integrity Farms to sell, and with the sale of liquor being banned for the holidays, there's only one thing that'll get the people's Christmas spirit back.
So I thought I'd bring you some Christmas snow. Whoa, there's enough for everybody.
Hey, what's this white stuff on the top?
Just a little something extra for a special king.
After realizing that the cocaine he sold to everyone is actually illegal, Randy saved his butt by getting the drug legalized and raking in even more dough, selling jars and jars of Christmas snow to drug-addicted parents. While weed is technically legal in the state of Colorado, smuggling it across borders, let alone into China, is a huge no-no. Selling cocaine is also illegal and carries the same penalty as drug trafficking, so that's 64 years Randy will be spending in jail and a $2 million fine that needs paying. We've had the misfortune of seeing Randy's before, and it was probably his lack of OnlyFans subscribers that made him feel insecure about its size. Okay, he never specifically said he's insecure, but his actions in the episode TMI speak for themselves. The boys have had their annual physical, and the following week, Cartman discovers some horrifying news. The school has published all their sizes in the hallway.
There, you see? Can you believe it? It says right there, Eric Cartman, 1.2 inches. Why would they tell everybody that?
Embarrassed that his wiener is a tiny 1.2 inches, Cartman claims the result is a conspiracy spread by the school faculty and demands everyone gets remeasured at all costs. He personally conducts the next physical and naturally puts himself at the top of the growth chart with a 13.7-inch wee-wee. However, Kyle and Stan force him to measure himself with a witness, and when the actual boy's penis-sized board is displayed in the hallway, the fricker throws a tantrum over everyone knowing how small his is and gets sent to the principal's office.
Talking about the numbers we published Tuesday from the physicals?
You're damn right. Know that my is a respectable 1.4 inches. Maybe it's still the smallest in school.
The numbers we put up were height differentials.
What? That's gotta be the number one most face-palm-worthy moment in the entire show. A parent-teacher conference is called to inform the parents of the little mix-up, and as he's a scientist, Randy volunteers to help the boys understand what they've done, but just shows them how they can measure their more accurately.
When we were talking about size, we can't just use a tape measure. We need a scale. Let's look at it on the graph here. Follow along with me on your study sheets, kids.
How to not look insecure about your size 101. Randy even makes a totally creeped out student help him calculate his own size adjustment.
Example 1, young lady, please read the problem out loud.
Randy has a that is 4.4 inches in length. Its angle is 32 degrees. Its flaccid girth is 1 inch in diameter. Randy notes that the drift of his 4 centimeters to right.
Great, and so divide by the 17, carry the 1, and we can see that TMI is 6.3 inches.
Oh my, what will this little girl say when her parents ask, what'd you do in school today? Oh, nothing, I just measured my teacher's The next day, an actual doctor, Rebecca Turnaud, is brought in to debunk Randy's ridiculous adjustment theory, but this guy's just way too insecure about his size to ever let that happen. Instead of getting thrown in jail for assaulting that lady, Randy gets put into anger management class with Cartman. Had Mr. Marsh been arrested and charged with assault, he'd be sentenced to 64 years in jail and fined 1.5 mil. I doubled all that because of the time he got drunk and punched his boss after Obama won the election.
Obama's not talking about you!
Can someone help us? My little brother fell out of the window.
Dang, I hope Ike's okay. If you were born any earlier than 2004, you may remember Blockbuster. It was a place you could rent something called DVDs from, and it disappeared once people realized renting movies sucked compared to online streaming. The world moved on, but Randy got stuck in the past. Sharon and the kids are carving a pumpkin when Randy arrives home with armfuls of presents to celebrate the good news. He has impulsively bought a creepy rundown Blockbuster store, an insanely dumb move considering nobody needs or cares about Blockbuster anymore. Still, Randy promises Sharon that customers will be quote-unquote up their and by Friday, there isn't even a tumbleweed in sight. The empty store drives Randy more and more insane as the days go by, and he's so desperate for customers that he even starts seeing ghosts from different time periods shopping at his outdated store.
The hounds, Emily, the hounds! This was a great idea, but no! Everyone just wants to prove that Randy's going crazy! Don't mind Randy, he's just losing his mind! Grrr!
I think something might be wrong with Dad.
Wow, this takes business as dead to a whole nother level. On Halloween night, Stan dresses up as Captain America, but his crazy dad won't let him have fun, as tonight is apparently their big night, and swarms of kids will be bursting through those doors any minute now to rent scary movies. But with the help of modern technology, maybe Stan can go trick-or-treating with his friends after all.
How are people supposed to get that I'm the Hulk when Captain America is on freaking FaceTime?
Trick or treat.
Oh, wow, it's the Avengers! Oh, and Honey Boo Boo!
While Cartman continues getting mistaken for anything other than the Hulk, Randy has become more angry and insane after nobody showed up to rent one single movie. He mopes at the cash register when another ghost appears and tells him that his family is to blame for the lame business idea not taking off. Their love of modern tech is sabotaging everything, and the only way to save Blockbuster is to get rid of them for good. And so, the madman steals the car keys, cuts the phone lines, and tries to kill his family one by one, starting with his iPad-obsessed son.
Stan? Daddy wants to have a little talk, Stan! I'm coming! Oh, look, wedding crashers! What are you doing, Shelly?
Nothing, Dad. Go back to killing the family.
After wreaking havoc on the rest of South Park through Stan's iPad screen, Randy sets fire to the store and stumbles around in the snow searching for him, but he forgot to wrap up warm and ends up becoming as frozen as an ice cube.
Stan! I'm coming, Stan! No, Stan! No.
If the episode sticks to the movie's plot, Randy should freeze to death, but this is South Park, so Sharon finds him the next morning and fixes everything with some chicken nuggets and fries from McDonald's. Burning his precious Blockbuster store to the ground to try and kill his family will earn Randy 144 years in prison for 3 counts of attempted murder. The fine could also be as high as $3 million. That's probably the same amount of money he was expecting to make on his big Halloween night. Also, can we just say trying to kill your own family because you think DVDs are better than iPads is the craziest, most petty murder motive ever? Like, how much weed did Randy have to smoke to become this unhinged? Hey, did anybody ever see the movie Wicked? If someone loudly eating popcorn ruined it for you, count yourself lucky because you could have died if Randy gate crashed your screening. Randy mocks his colleagues for going to see Wicked instead of watching the game, but after learning they all got Hummers from their partners afterward, he takes Sharon to watch the show and gets a BJ the entire car ride home. Realizing the musicals are filled with subliminal messages that make women give oral, Randy books a kid-free trip to New York so he can take Sharon to see every show on Broadway. It works wonders, and he even gets oral on the plane ride home, in front of every other passenger. Back home, Randy vents about South Park being uncultured and decides to put his own musical on just so he can get more Hummers from Sharon.
Would you like a...
Yes, I would like a...
Excuse me, I'm the queen of...
I would love a...
on football Sunday. Covered in...
Randy's grotesque musical about intimate oral acts attracts the attention of big names in music like Stephen Schwartz, Elton John, and Andrew Lloyd Webber, and they want to help him take the musical global. He celebrates with a few beers at Hooters, but his excitement comes crashing down when Sharon breaks some horrifying news to him. Shelley and Larry Fegan have gone to see Wicked together, and Randy's sick, perverted mind can only conclude one thing from that. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. Still drunk, he hops in his car and races to the theater, destroying a mailbox on the way, and after smashing the window of a a costume store to dress up as Spider-Man, Randy bursts into the theater to rescue his little girl before she gets brainwashed by the filthy musical.
Spider-Man.
At least the Spider-Man costume will spare Shelley the shame and humiliation of everyone knowing it was her dad who knocked out the cast of Wicked, flooded the entire theater, and accidentally drowned her boyfriend in the carnage. Randy's musical never took off, but his jail time is definitely skyrocketing by 363 years. That's 1 year for indecent exposure, 1 year for drunk driving, 320 years for like 10 counts of assault, 31 years for 3 counts of criminal property damage, the mailbox, the costume store window, and the entire theater, and 10 years for accidentally causing the death of little Larry Fegan. Randy's also got himself a staggering $108,003,000 fine from that one. Overall, I'm just glad Randy never brought the kids on that trip to New York. Common motives for murder include power, revenge, and anger, and the reasons behind Randy's murders are even more dumb. Like, this dude literally blew up a bunch of people's backyards because they were growing their own weed instead of buying his.
These are a big fatty.
And he must really hate the homeless because he killed Glenn in cold blood after he lost his home. Then he also shot down a scared security guard for trying to run away from his post on Black Friday.
I'm sorry, I can't do this! Stay at your post!
That beats being beheaded by shoppers, I guess. Randy killed 3 people here, so that's 120 years he'll be spending in the clink, plus he's got a $3 million fine to pay on top of that. Not even mentioning blowing up like 30 backyards. That'll earn the lunatic another 540 years and $15,090,000 in fines for multiple counts of property damage and arson. Randy's already a serial killer, so really, what worse could he do? Well, he could always become a final boss of serial killing. It's 2 a.m. and Randy's up helping Stan build a toy car for the upcoming Pinewood Derby. And he's so hell-bent on beating those dang Hollises that he's traveled all the way to Switzerland and stolen a superconducting magnet to put inside the car. Don't worry, he disguised himself pretty well.
The superconducting magnet was stolen sometime last week. Surveillance cameras were able to record the theft on tape. Caught here in these photos, the troubled rebel princess is seen taking the superconducting magnet.
Stan and Randy win the Pinewood Derby and set a new record after the toy car shoots all the way to outer space. Mr. Hollis struggles to cope with the loss and commits suicide. Meanwhile, South Park throws a parade to celebrate the cheater's victory. Their car continues traveling through time and space before getting picked up by an alien spacecraft. The aliens are impressed and are heading to Earth to meet the super smart human who managed to achieve warp speed.
What do you guys want? We said we only used what was in the kit. You got nothing on us!
Dad, they aren't here for that.
Oh, Mr. Marsh, we were just telling your son that thanks to you, we have made first contact with alien life.
Turns out it's one alien who is an intergalactic gangster named Baby Fark McGee Zax, who demands Randy to build the technology in 3 minutes or risk the annihilation of the whole human race. Even after that terrifying threat, Randy is still too proud to admit he cheated and would rather risk Stan's life by making him kill the alien.
Here, see? Here, look real close at the axles here.
Randy decides they should all keep the stolen space cash left on the gangster's ship, and the money is shared equally with the other world leaders. Finland, however, wants to blab to the alien cops, and to save everyone's skin, Randy decides to nuke the country into silence. Why was he even allowed to make that decision anyway? Fed up with living a lie, Stan confesses they cheated, and you'll never get what this deadbeat dad does next. Actually, no, you probably can.
Well, Stan, we're proud of you for coming clean. But it doesn't change the fact that you cheated. Go to your room, son.
Hypocrite of the year, ladies and gentlemen. In the end, it's revealed that everything was a hoax orchestrated by the aliens so they could judge how intelligent the human race was before welcoming Earth into the Federation of Planets, and everyone pathetically fell for it. I mean, Baby Fark McGee Zax, come on. Cheating at the Pinewood Derby was fraud, warranting 5 years in jail, and stealing the magnet from Switzerland was grand theft, which carries a penalty of 30 years. Those crimes would earn Randy 35 years in jail and $760,000 in fines, basically nothing compared to the punishment he's getting for his heinous heinous crimes against humanity. Nuking an entire country is unspeakably evil, and this figure would rightfully be sentenced to 40 years per murdered civilian. So that's a mind-blowing 224,692,400 years we need to add to Randy's sentence and $40 million in fines. If my math is mathing, Randy's total prison sentence is an insane 224,693,920 years long. And his fines? They come in at a totally unaffordable $177,007,250. Dude's gonna be rotting in jail for a super long time, but there are villains who actually make this jerk seem like a pretty decent person. Click the screen to find out what diabolical crimes these guys get up to.